Hello everyone and welcome to Retail Archaeology. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Sears located at Metrocenter Mall in Phoenix, Arizona, which recently began its liquidation sale. Back in May, Sears had released a list of 63 Sears and Kmart stores that would be closing, and unfortunately this one was on that list. In June, they actually updated that list to 68 stores, and then in July, they added 10 more stores to that list, bringing it to 78. So that list just keeps growing every month. I wanted to take a look at this Sears store in particular because it's an older Sears location, and it's actually pretty cool, especially the exterior of the store, which we'll be taking a look at later. But let's take a look at the interior here first. And this store is actually relatively clean, and I'm actually kind of surprised how much product is left for a clearance sale going on. But it also wasn't really very busy at all. We filmed this on a Sunday afternoon. This store, along with the other 77 stores on the closure list we've been talking about, is slated to close sometime in September. Now, I have been to this Sears a few times, but I never noticed there was a hair salon in here before. It's unfortunate that it's all locked up now and that you can't really see in there. I would have loved to have seen that. And it seems like all of the department stores that were in this mall had a hair salon at one time. Because I know the JCPenney did, because we found the entrance outside in a previous video, and the Macy's did as well. I'm not sure if what was a Diamonds department store but is now a Dillard's had a hair salon, but I know it doesn't operate anymore if it did, because the Dillard's only uses one floor of their two-floor building now. This sign here was kind of interesting. They must have had a lot of employee theft problems. I was tempted to open that door and see what was back there, but surprisingly there was actually a few security guards roaming around, and they were kind of curious as to what we were doing here, so I didn't want to poke around too much and get thrown out before I got the whole place filmed. You can see there's some people walking around shopping, but not a lot. And you can also see here they've kept the good stuff locked up in a glass case. The body spray, that's the good stuff at Sears, I guess. Now, the Sears originally was a 3-story Sears, the 2 stories you can see outside, and then there was a basement. But at some point a few months ago, they actually closed the basement off. We can look all the way down here from the top down to the bottom, and you can see actually only one escalator is working now, but you can see that set that goes to the basement is walled off, and all the lights are turned off down there. This was a really big Sears, and that's not surprising because it turns out Sears actually had a hand in the building of this mall, so it makes sense they would build a large store here. This area back here just has a lot of appliances and crap laying around now, but this is like that area where Sears had like little stores within a store. For example, back here, this was the jewelry and watch repair shop, and you can see the sign all the way there in the back. But now it's just being used for appliance storage. Kind of looks tacky, to be honest with you. And then right next to it was this other little booth, and this was a Miracle Ear store at one time. I don't think Miracle Ear operates any stores in Sears anymore. I'm not sure when this operated. The last time it was open. You can see the older POS equipment there and stuff. And my producer Mark wandering around. And here's the optical department right next to that. And there were a few other empty alcoves too that unfortunately the signage had long been taken down, so we couldn't tell what they were, but Sears had their fingers in everything, so they could have been anything really. Let's take a few minutes now and take a look at the outside of this Sears, because that's actually one of my favorite things, is this building itself. All of the anchor buildings attached to Metrocenter Mall are all pretty cool looking, and this Sears is no exception. Metrocenter Mall itself opened in 1973, but the Sears actually opened a year later in 1974, and that's actually kind of surprising given that Sears had a hand in this mall being built through their Home Art Development Company, which is a company that existed until 1995 that was a Sears division that was actually in the mall development business. But you can see what I'm talking about. This is not just like a plain vanilla big box, store. It's got some interesting architecture to it. Down there's the loading docks. You can see they've got pallets of garbage and boxes all baled up there. But see what I mean? That's just a really cool looking building, I think. And over in the gravel, we found this cameras and accessories sign, and I actually decided to keep this. I don't know how long this has been out there. I didn't see a cameras and accessories section in the Sears while we were looking around, but it looks like this somehow survived the crusher, so I put it in my truck. I really like those column things holding the awning up in front of the building. I've also really always liked these lights too, and I'm going to be sad to see those go. I imagine this building will end up being demolished at some point. There's major redevelopment plans for Metrocenter Mall, and this building is kind of purpose-built to be a really big Sears. I don't see it being redeveloped into anything else, so it'll be unfortunate if that is what happens, they end up demolishing it. A lot of these entrances and doors you can see are kind of blocked off or locked. This bench looks pretty old. It was pretty rickety too. But I love graffiti, so I wanted to make sure and capture this because some of this graffiti on this bench looked pretty old as well. Here's a closer look at those columns. See, I think that just looks cool down there. That looks very industrial. It almost looks like a sci-fi film could be filmed there. On this side of the building is where the merchandise pickup area was. You can see that there, and there was actually somebody with a Jeep there picking something up. This was weird, this little like propane tank here, or compressed natural gas tank. It looks like one that they used to like operate like pallet jacks and stuff, but it was weird that it was locked up in that cage. It looked like it had been there for a while. And also that merchandise pickup sign has obviously been there for a while. You can see the bottom half of it is yellowed from sun exposure. And here's a whole row of those lights. I've been to a lot of liquidation sales now, and I would be really surprised if I ever walked up to one and saw different store closing signs than these. Seems like there's one company that has a monopoly on those. And here's another interesting thing. This was a Sears Parts Direct store. This looks like it's closed a while ago, but this goes back to this being a huge Sears with just all kinds of different things, with the Miracle Ear and the optical department. There was an auto center here. You've got the Sears Parts Direct. Just tons of different little things, and it really shows you all the different things that Sears had their fingers in. Let's go ahead and head back inside now, because it was really hot. It was well over 100 degrees when Mark and I were out there filming. Now this is the inside of the merchandise pickup area. I'm not sure if people were still able to pick up internet orders here or not. There were these CRT security monitors all over the place too, and we asked if these were for sale yet, and they said they weren't, but hopefully they will be soon, because I want one. And here's a store liquidation classic, the half-drank drink cup. If you watch any of my videos, you'll see that I run into those at every store closing. We had a good chuckle at this jewelry too, because not too long ago I did a video where I flipped through the last full Sears catalog that was released in 1993, and this same jewelry I think is in there. Also, we had a chuckle at this. This looks like it's leftover Christmas stuff. Like this I know for a fact is leftover Christmas stuff. This is those like cheapo gifts that you see at Target and Sears and stuff like that. Looks like they had some slippers left over also. I think I got these as a gift from somebody, these same slippers. And then they had like some leftover gift wrap boxes from Christmas also. Right as I was going to finish up this video, I actually read a news story about Sears having just laid off 200 corporate employees. So that's another sign that Sears' struggles are not getting better, they're getting worse, unfortunately. Another little interesting thing I saw in the news the other day about Sears was that they are at their stores going to switch over to handwritten price signs. Now, I know that's something you're used to seeing at liquidation sales like this, but I'm not used to seeing handwritten price signs like at a normal functioning department store, but they're doing that in an attempt to save, printing costs and stuff like that. But I gotta tell you, that's gonna look pretty tacky, I think. Just as tacky as these busted up drawer sets they have here. Those are in really bad shape. Again, I'm just really surprised at how much stuff is still left here. This liquidation's been going on for almost 2 months now. I guess people are just waiting for the cuts to get deeper. I mean, nobody's interested in these iMac colored irons. This was one of Sears' flagship stores way back in the day, so I'm kind of glad that I'm documenting it, and also that I got a chance to document it before it looked like complete crap and the liquidation really torn it apart. Here's some good old Nordictrack exercise equipment, and I was actually glad to see this here because was just talking to Mark about this in the truck, that Nordictrack stuff, a lot of it still comes with cassette players, and there was actually a piece of equipment here that's a cassette deck there. They come with an iPod connection and a cassette deck. That's freaking weird. Now this is over in the tool section, and from what I understand, this stuff, a lot of it was down in the basement originally and has all been moved up here. These batteries look kind of old, and I see a 2014 year on there, but I'm not sure if that's like the manufacture date or the expiration date. These looked fairly old too. The packaging was starting to yellow, and it actually looked like a few of the batteries may have even been leaking in there. And same situation with these. The plastic was incredibly brittle on the packaging. It was kind of cracking just from the lightest touch. Yeah, I don't think anybody's ever going to end up buying those. That's going to wrap up our look at Sears, a flagship store of theirs that opened in 1974 and will be closing in 2018. Thanks for watching, everyone. Want to see your name here? Head on over to patreon.com/retailarchaeology to find out how you can help support the channel. Hey, thanks for checking out my video on this really cool old Sears store. If you enjoyed it and you're not a subscriber, make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and also follow at the social media links there, because that's the best way to keep up with what's going on with the channel. And as always, thanks for watching.